thank you for all being out here to support the family. This is critical. And so first, definitely, where Rich go? Well, again, to you and the wife and the family, the entire family, we, the Oscar Grant family, definitely send our condolences. My sister Wanda wanted to be here. She couldn't make it, but she definitely sends her love. We just want you to know that as we can, we will stand with you. And we really, really appreciate you staying in this fight. Because many, many families, as you know, crumble. But I'm going to tell you, what's critical about this is that what happened to Oscar, had it not been for you, the community, again, standing with us, crying with us, going back and forth to court with us, speaking to this issue of what happened to Oscar on that platform, we as a family would not have been able to do it because of you utilizing your First Amendment right to speak to that very injustice and making your voice heard for the first time in California state history. An officer was arrested, charged, convicted, and sent to jail for an on-duty shooting of a young black or brown man. So I ask you to continue to embrace this family, continue to stand with this family, continue to support this family when they go to trial, continue to just to be there when they need someone to talk to or to lay their head on and just cry. Because that support, I'm telling you, is what keeps us moving forward in seeking justice. The community all over this country now has been speaking to this issue of police terrorism. We just had a piece of legislation just passed, I believe it's SB 227, that is the right that you have now to record police officers, not just record, but even take pictures of police officers, but not just take pictures of them, but even audio record what they're saying. We have that right today, so let all of us always remember, anytime we see someone in our community being accosted by the police, stand at a safe distance, pull your cameras out, or your audio device, or your camera just to take a picture, and do that, because that becomes a piece of evidence that attorneys like John Burrs can use to make your claim to get the justice that we need. So when we all arm ourselves in that fashion and take that stance that we have a right to protect one another, we are our brother's keeper, then and only then will this real essence of what we see in this heinous act will change. Because all eyes are on them. And thank you to Mama, Julie, thank you, Julie, for posting that about that officer. Like John said, we may not get it through the criminal justice system, but if you continually expose this officer in the fact that he's in your neighborhood and he's a killer and his face is on a bulletin board, the first thing he want to say is, well, they jeopardizing my safety. Well, what happened to Pedie Perez? You jeopardized his life by taking his life. You do not need to be in our community. So therefore, we have to make that known and done. And for any of the young people that are out here that don't know what to do, for anyone out here that may not feel they're able to be at a protest or they're able to speak about this issue, if you have a gift, a spoken word, or you can sing, or you can do something that consciously raises the consciousness of the people in the community, your peers, is critical, because this leadership belongs to you. And I'm speaking to the young people out here, because this is not about me, it's not about John, it is not about Richard, but it's about these babies that are being born in this world. And so you have to think about your babies coming into this world, because your failure to continue to lead this movement, we then got to ask the question, what kind of life will they have if we don't speak on their behalf? Think about it. How many of you seen the movie Fruitvale Station? Can I see a show of hands? Thank you. For all those that have not seen the movie Fruitvale Station, when you see it, think about Pedie. Because in that movie, though it was about Oscar, Oscar was Pedie. Oscar was Michael Brown. Oscar was Alan Bluford. Oscar was all those that has been killed across the United States, because that movie is about the humanity of all of us, especially the young man. Pedie had a right to life. His life should not have been taken. He could have simply been arrested, taken to jail, and had a fair day in trial. These policemen today think they can be the judge, jury, and executioner. And the only way that's going to change is that we got to take a stand. So, I think it was Auntie had mentioned, what is it that we can do? I have 5 suggestions, and I think if we all keep our eyes on these suggestions and all begin to speak these languages, we'll become a unified force across this nation to bring about these realities. The number one is, there's a piece of legislation called the Peace Officers' Bill of Rights. Many of you may not be familiar with it, but that is the ultimate essence of what keeps officers not held accountable for their murders. What we definitely need to do is be able to open up that personal folder to identify those bad cops in our neighborhood. That inability allows murderers to walk among us and kill and get away with it. So let's speak that language about the Peace Officers' Bill of Rights, and that we need to have that taken down. That's a major obstacle, but it has to be challenged. We really need to have an increase of special prosecutors in police misconduct investigations. The district attorney cannot properly represent a family when it comes to prosecuting a police officer for murdering our children. So we need to begin to talk about this on a regular and consistent basis. Enhanced collection of data on fatalities involving police shootings. There's 17,500 plus agencies across the United States, and they're not required to report people they kill like Pedie. And because of that, there's no statistics on how many people are actually being killed by the police. This is critical information, because the DOJ discovered that dogs was being killed at an alarming rate. They created a special task force to investigate what they can do to stop killing dogs. And they began to study that, and they put it in force. And do you know, the reduction of dogs being killed in the arrest of us went down. But yet, they cannot tell us how many of us have been killed in our community. These are just critical issues that we need to address. Another one is the implicit bias training for all law enforcement officers across the state, local police, and the involved in federal task forces. You know, these are just some issues. Implicit bias. Let me say this before I go further. How many of you know Derek Gaines, the 15-year-old? Well, his grandmother's still here, still in this fight, supporting families. We definitely need to give her a round of applause for being here supporting this family. All of us that know Derek Gaines, he was 15 years old, killed over in South San Francisco by the police. Only 15 years old, but on the ground and shot. You know, what we have here is heinous act by police across this country that needs to be addressed. And so for all of us that are here, our responsibility is to share this news with the loved ones that you know, to get them involved, because it's going to take a mass movement from the community to bring about this change. So it's my hope and my belief that a change will come. And again, thank you for supporting this family, giving them the love that they need to keep fighting. Because I'm telling you, without that love and supporting them, they cannot do it by themselves. So thank you.
I want people to look at this. These are just some of the unarmed youth, unarmed people, from a 92-year-old grandmother to 7-year-old Ayanna Stanley Jones, who've been killed by the police around this country. Just some of them. And if you look down the lower right-hand corner, you'll see Pedie Perez, just one of many. Now, I was talking to a woman, a mother, whose daughter was killed, and in Wisconsin this morning. And she said this was thrust on me. I didn't want it to happen, but this whole issue was thrust on me. She says, I become a member of a club that I didn't ever want to join. And that's the way these families are thrust. This is thrust upon them. Now, look, this has been going on for a long time, and Uncle Bobby is right, that the massive movement around the killing of Oscar Grant, there were other ones, but never as big as that. And the massive movement around Eric Garner and Michael Brown, which shook the very foundations of this country, and which the rulers were really like set back about. Not just because there were demonstrations, but there's demonstrations everywhere. And these demonstrations had all kinds of people in them. Black, white, rich, poor, from the suburbs and the inner cities. This is something that they cannot stand to see, because in that case, they are losing the legitimacy that they build up around this country. And you start losing the legitimacy, you start losing the whole thing. That's what happened in the civil rights struggle, where you had people challenged. Am I going to stand with the racists, the KKK, the battle flag of the Confederacy? Or am I going to stand with people who are declaring that I am a human being? And people did take that stand, and it changed all kinds of stuff. It didn't come through the legal channels first. It was the legal channels had to change because the people were changing. So I want to ask you one thing. What is the way that we are going to stop police murder? It's not mainly by appealing to the legislators to find the heart after all these years of white supremacy and racism and genocide. No. It's basically about people being in the streets saying, I will no longer stand, I will no longer live in a country like this that treats its people this way. We are calling Stop Mass Incarceration, and 69 families around the country who have signed already are calling for a massive demonstration to shut down New York City from October 22nd to October 24th. Families from all over the country will become bringing the pictures of their loved ones. They're going to be the foundation, the moral conscience of this movement. And they're going to be calling out to people all over the country, which side are you on? We're going to be bringing this club into the face of everybody. Just like when we took the freeways, when we did all that stuff, people that otherwise would never have thought about police murder were suddenly thrust into their consciousness. Maybe they liked it, maybe they didn't. But just like we're saying about the good Germans in Germany, you got to take a side one way or another. Right. So I'm calling on people. The families here, I would love to get Pedie Perez's families or representatives. I think Uncle Bobby's going to be out there, you know, with other people. We've got people from around the country. We are raising money so those families can get out there and represent. There will never be, or there has never been in the history of this country, so many families whose loved ones have been killed by the police in one place at one time. And we're going to be speaking to not just the people in this country, what side are you on, but we're going to be shining a big spotlight on this country where Obama or whoever is the president goes around the world and talks about how free and democratic we are, and point out ISIS. Well, God damn it, we got ISIS and running our streets in these squad cars and blue uniforms, for that matter. So look, let's get on to New York City. Let's fight this power. Let's bring more people into the struggle, and let's show them a movement, just like these families here are determined not to stop with reforms, but we're going to stop police murder once and for all. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to talk about something that probably won't be too popular with you hardcore or revolutionary types, but if you watch any television or listen to any radio, you know it's campaign season. Now, I heard and saw the leading candidate for the Republican Party, Donald Trump, saying the police don't have enough power. We got to give it back to them. I got to tell you, if the power of life and death isn't enough, I don't know what the hell is. I don't know what more he's planning on giving to them. Now, the reason that what I'm going to say is going to be unpopular is I know a lot of you don't believe in voting or even registering to vote. You say voting could change anything and it'd be illegal. Well, think of how difficult they try to make it for black people, brown people to vote in so many states. They got to have a reason. Think of all the money they spend on these damn campaigns. I mean, billionaires do not spend millions of dollars on something that they don't think is relevant. Yet another reason to register to vote is, this is how you get on juries. I would like there to be a campaign started called Convict a Crooked Cop. Now, maybe it won't happen anytime soon, but it's a good idea to be prepared if it does happen. And I'd be willing to attempt an education campaign on how to get on juries. Is Mr. Burr still here? I'm sure he could give us some pointers too. But the fact is, not everybody can get on the street and play in traffic, stop traffic. You know, you got a lot of old folks who are homebound most of the time. They would like to be able to do something. We got to give them things to do. You got a lot of people who got, maybe on a second strike who would like to get involved. They don't want to be going around with people who are causing destruction because, they could get blamed for it. We got to give everybody something to do. We could not be leaving tools on the table. I could go on, but I think I'd tend toward be a little redundant here. But I'm glad you showed up here, and let's keep it going. Power to the people.